Oh, I'm so awkward.
Yes.
Oh, can't see my face. Can't see my face. Okay. How do you start a vlog? Stella, how do you start a vlog?
One small step for my man.
Alright. Hi everyone. My name's Beth, as you probably know. So if you don't follow my blog, and this is your first time watching, this is my very first vlog ever. So yeah. Do you think I can do this? Yeah, I think I can do this. So my very first vlog, I'm going to talk about why you should start a blog. Not a vlog, because I don't know what I'm doing. Right, Stella? Alright, so still feeling super awkward talking to the camera, but I'm just gonna keep going and see what happens. So I guess a lot of the questions I get from readers is when we're not talking about like dating and all that other shit I talk about on my blog all the time. They're asking me like, hey, like I really like to write. How do I start a blog? Like how did you start blogging? Why did you start blogging? You know, what website do you use? Yada yada yada. So I get questions like that all the time. And I mean, this is not, I'm not going to talk to you as like this like SEO expert and like who pays for advertising. Like, I don't do any of that stuff. This is all just stuff that I've learned personally. And then I've also done my own research on like how to grow a blog and an audience and things like that. So this is going to be my little 2 cents. So to give you a background on like why and how I started blogging, I was a sophomore in college, so I was 19 or 20, I believe, and I have always loved to write. It's always been like free therapy outlet for me to, you know, just talk about things without judgment in my little journal that I would keep. And so then I decided like, hey, like let's start a blog. And at the time that was back in 2012, blogging wasn't a huge like trendy thing like it is now. I'm not trying to say like I'm a trendsetter, but that would be nice. But no, it wasn't. I mean, I feel like with the rise of Instagram came the rise of blogging, because Instagram is such like an influential platform for so many bloggers. And you know, anyway, so it just wasn't as big of a thing. I was reading my old posts last night and they're like really funny. Like I would just talk about things that like just so superficial and like didn't even matter to me, like what the weather was outside, or like the Red Sox winning the World Series game, or like something like that. I would just write about. Not that I even freaking cared about any of those things, but it was just something to write about and I enjoyed. So I wrote, I would only write about like once a month, maybe like once or twice, I don't know. But I never took it really seriously. It was just, again, like I had my journal that I would keep all my personal stuff in, and then my blog was just like kind of stuff I would do whenever I had a moment. I was dealing with all of this emotional stuff like internally. I had some friend problems. I was like about to study abroad in South Africa. I was halfway through college, like ready to, you know, loving college, but kind of ready to see what was next and what else was out there for me. Like at that point in your college career, you kind of come to terms with like what your genuine interests are. You think about where you want your life to go, and it's a lot to deal with. At the age of, you know, 20 or 21, it's like you're kind of prepping for the rest of your life, and it's scary. So I started writing more and more and more on my blog, and a lot of people were reading it and liking what I had to say, and I would get a lot of cool feedback from people. And so I started, you know, again, like I said, was dealing with all this emotional crap. And then my first like serious post was talking about an old relationship that I had. And that was my freshman year. I was dating this guy who was super, super verbally, emotionally, and sometimes physically abusive. It was extremely toxic. The relationship lasted about 7-8 months, and it was just a really low piece of my life. And had 2 years had passed. This guy was still roaming around campus. I would see him from now and then, and I hadn't really. I gone to therapy about it. I took legal action against him, and he hadn't bothered me, but it was just this something that I felt like I hadn't really come to terms with yet. I hadn't faced head on, and I was just really still struggling with it. I mean, it was affecting my life daily. Like, I was dating a different guy at the time who was great, but sorry, I just got a text. But it was affecting my relationships with people, with guys, with friends, a relationship with myself. It was just still like, it felt like new. It felt like just still like boiling in me. And so I wrote a blog post about it. I didn't publish it. I wrote it as a draft and just kind of left it there. And I just wrote out the entire story, like every detail I could think of. It was like, it just had happened yesterday. It was so vivid, how it all unfolded, how, police got involved, and I had to sit in front of a panel and explain myself, and it was a lot. And again, I hadn't really faced it in the way that I wanted to. So I wrote this post, and I was like, I won't publish it because I was afraid. I was afraid of, what people would think of me, would it even be helpful for me if I posted it? Would it do more harm than good? Would my ex-boyfriend see it and come attack me? Like, that was like, these were all so real, like, fears that I had. And so one day I just decided to publish it. I was like, you know what, fuck it, why not? So I did. I published it, and it got incredible feedback. I mean, it got shared all over the world. I was getting these really powerful messages from other women and men who have gone through something similar. And although my story was very specific to what had happened to me, I kind of generalized it at the end and said, if you're in a relationship like this, like, either reach out to me or get help. And, I feel like kind of dramatic saying this, but I mean, I was a survivor of an emotionally abusive relationship. And I think that so many people go through that, like, whether it's with their, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, parents, a friend, like, everyone at some point in their lives have some form of a toxic relationship with somebody. And the way we handle that and the way we deal with it is really important because, it's, I don't know, and when you read or you hear about someone else going through something similar, it's so much easier to say, hey, I'm not alone. I can deal with this because, you see other people dealing with it, and it inspires you to do the same. So anyways, that just turned into a long friggin' tangent. I didn't mean it to, but I published it, and again, I got so much feedback, and that's really when my audience started to build. So from there, I was like, all right, people like hearing about my problems. So from there, it kind of evolved into something much more personal. I became really comfortable with talking about things that, I would have never even considered telling the world about ever. But it was comforting. It was comforting for me. It was comforting for other people to read. And it was really powerful in the sense that, like, maybe I couldn't change the world, but if I could change someone else's world, even if it was just for like a quick, brief read of an article, then like that made me feel really good. So I guess that was the basis of what it is today. I write a lot of I have my own voice when it comes to all my posts. I try not to come off as forced or like cliche or anything. I try to stay true to like my own words, I guess. But so that was the real start of, it used to be called Another Chapter in the Book, now it's Writerless, but that was like the real start of my blog, I feel like, was that post and getting the courage to put that out there. So a lot of people who message me, they just are they say, why, like, should I start a blog? Should I put myself out there? Are people going to read it? How do you get the audience that you do? This and that. And I try to, tell everyone, like, if you want to start a blog, just start a blog. Like, there's no, like, I don't know. That's what I did. I just started one. I had no strategy going in. I didn't know what it was going to turn into, or even if I was going to continue it after one post. I didn't know. I just started it. So, and everything I've done has been all self-taught. And my audience, granted, it's much more significant than it was. Like, but that took 4 years of building and content and learning and understanding, like, what people want to read and how I can, help other people while helping myself too. And whatever you want your blog to be, if you want it to be a food blog, a fitness blog, or just a random friggin' blog about anything, you can do it. And there's no stopping you. There really isn't. But I would encourage you to not be so concerned about, how many people are reading it, how many likes you get on Facebook or your shares, because as soon as you start worrying about that is when you become, is it disgenuine, ingenuine, disgenuine? I don't know. Or you start sounding fake. You start posting with the intent of it getting shared and clicked on, which is fine if that's the route you want to go. Because the internet is full of clickbait, and that those are legitimate careers, and it takes talent to, do a viral post. But a lot of the questions that I get, it's coming from people who just like to write. And so my advice to people like you who don't, who just like to write, and is just start one. And people, no matter like if they like it or not, if you share your stuff on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, whatever you want to do, people are going to read it. Secondly, like the mechanics behind it. I use WordPress, and I love WordPress. I've used this from day one. It's free unless you want to buy your own domain, which I ended up doing, and I think that's like $18 a year, so it's like really cheap. And then there's all these like layouts you can choose from. There's a lot of free ones that are really nice looking. There's also premium, which you can do more customizations with, and they just look a little bit more professional. But I just bought my own theme. I spent like $40 on it, but I love it. So it all depends on what you want to do with it. But even now, like I don't know like coding or like any of that stuff. So I'm currently going through a rebranding, another one. And so I'm hiring a designer, and they're going to redesign my whole site exactly the way I want it to be. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that like nothing is permanent. Like maybe, like whatever you put on the internet now is going to stay up there technically. Like if someone shares it, it's always going to be somewhere. But don't feel like, your blog title or, your very first post is going to define the rest of your blogging career, because it's not like that. Mine started out as, I've already gone through 2 different names. I'm changing it to a 3rd one. My layout has changed 7,000 different times. It's just like you just grow and you learn as a writer and as a blogger, and you understand like what you like, what your readers like, what you don't like, and vice versa. So it all, if you don't like a sentence that you put in an article 3 years ago, you can go back and change it. Like I wouldn't worry so much about the initial like blast about, your blog, because you can always change it. So anyways, so I use WordPress, and I really like WordPress. And you can also use, if you don't want to dedicate your writing to a specific blog, like a personal blog, you can publish it on Medium. You've probably seen articles shared. It's an app. It's also on the internet too. On the interwebs, you can just post an article, and you can just like scroll through other people who have written about similar things, and it's kind of like it's like an Instagram of vlogs, honestly. Like you just kind of scroll through and you can like and dislike and things like that. I really like it, but that's a good option if you don't want to create a whole entire blog. If you're really passionate about like this one post you just really want to write about, go Medium. There's also Blogger, which is similar to WordPress. I've never used Blogger. I'm not for or against it. I've just never used it. And then there's Squarespace, which I don't really have much experience with either, but every Squarespace site I've seen looks really nice. I think it costs money every month, and I think it's mainly for, like, I think it's really good to showcase like photography. I know one of my friends who's a photographer who uses Squarespace, and yeah, I think that's about all of them. But there's probably a bunch I don't know yet either. So. Okay, getting paid. So I have only been paid a handful of times for stuff that I read on my own personal blog. I've done a lot of freelance work for other larger blogs, but I don't really do the whole get paid stuff because and you can, like, there are thousands and thousands of bloggers that are full-time and make a really good income with just blogging, but that takes a lot of work, and you really have to think about what your goals are as a blogger. Like, for me, the premise of my blog right now is like food, fuckboys, and feminism. So I don't really know who's gonna pay me to write about going on a date with someone. But no, I mean, it's, like I said, you can be a full-time blogger, and have I considered like just saying, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna just quit my job and just invest all my time in my blog. Yeah, I have. But then I'm like, oh wait, I have to pay $1,000 in rent that month. So then that just idea goes out the window. Not to say that someday I won't get there, but when you get paid to write, you have to remember that someone's paying you to write.
Duh.
Right? Obviously. So the creative aspect of my content right now is like the main focus, and that's what I really enjoy about it is like, my blog is sort of turned into a part-time job because I do have to maintain it, but at the same time, like, I genuinely enjoy writing all of my work, and it's fun. But when you have someone else kind of controlling what you're writing, then that's when it gets into like, okay, it takes away from the creative aspect of it. So then there's also getting free stuff, which happens all the time as, like, if you know, as bloggers, you get like a package from some random company, or, you know, some maybe big company, depends how big you are, but they'll say, hey, can you mention this in your blog post? And they either give you some monetary, you know, check, or they're like, we'll give you this $300 product for free if you write about it and you post about it on Instagram. They send you a media kit talking about what you love. So I do that. I'm in the process of doing one now with the teeth whitening company called Smile Brilliant. And so, but I'm very selective about who I choose to work with. I have gotten a lot of emails about people, like, you know, saying like, oh, here, try this condom and let us know how it goes. I mean, I consider doing that, but like, I've gotten a lot of stuff like that, but I only choose to work with people that I feel like I would feel comfortable writing about. Like, for example, I fucking hate pickles. Like, I hate them. I don't know why. They're just disgusting, and I have legitimate goosebumps right now thinking about them. So, if a pickle company were to reach out to me and say, hey, if you write about our pickles and how great they are, we'll give you $200, I would say, fuck no, because I hate pickles. Stella. Say bye. Okay. Me and Stella, say bye. Bye.